Try that again. Good afternoon. Having some technical difficulties here, but as they work on that, we'll go ahead and kick it off. Call the meeting to order, and if you'll bow your heads, we'll say a prayer. Lord, we are meeting today to conduct matters of business for our co-op. We seek blessings on the tasks before us. Bless our efforts with clear insight, our deliberations with wisdom, our work with clarity and accuracy, our decisions with impartiality. Thank you for being our source of guidance today. We also ask for moisture to quench this parched earth. I'd like to welcome you all to the 103rd Annual Garden City Co-op Stockholders Meeting. Your co-op had a good year, and we are glad that you're able to celebrate with us today. The grain and retail ag industry continues to change, and we want to position your company for the future success. Today, you will hear our financial results, how we are following the 6th cooperative principle, cooperation among cooperatives, and how we are positioning ourselves for the future. We appreciate your participation today and hope you enjoy the meeting. To kick things off, though, as you guys entered into the meeting today, you notice a table full of umbrellas. Knowing that it hasn't rained, we're using that as a prayer for rain, so I thought I would start today off with GCC's first annual Dad's Jokes. What did one raindrop say to the second raindrop? 2 is company, 3 is a cloud. When does it rain money? When there's change in the weather. Why should it rain money? Because it makes sense. What type of cloud is really lazy because it can't ever get up in the morning? It's fog. We have been so dry. Last Christmas, Amanda asked me why I kept looking to the skies. I told her it was because I was looking for the rain, dear. And the last one, knock, knock. Butter. Better bring out these umbrellas because it might rain. And now, for the David Letterman, not top 10. Turn it off. Okay, GCC's not top 10. The drought was so bad, how bad is it? The cows are now giving evaporated milk. How bad is it? The trees are whistling for the dogs. You no longer associate bridges with rivers or water. That one hits home. Your car overheats before you even get to drive it. Chickens are now laying hard-boiled eggs. Number 5, you use ice cubes to fill your waterbed. Number 4, you decide any dream house is any house in Alaska. Number 3, the temperature drops below 90 and you get chilled. Number 2, you buy stock in Gatorade to save the water for the farming. And the number 1 reason of how bad the drought is, you find birds are carrying mini jackhammers to search for the fields for worms. The Garden City Co-op bylaws require a quorum of 5% of the voting membership or 50 members entitled to vote, whichever is less. We have 175 members registered this afternoon, and I declare a quorum is present. The official notice of the annual meeting of the common stockholders of the Garden City Co-op Incorporated was mailed on November 16th, 2022, in accordance with the bylaws. I have a certification signed by an employee of the Garden City, Kansas Post Office that 1,352 official notices were mailed on that date. The minutes of the 2021 annual meeting were provided with the official notice of the Garden City Co-op Incorporated website. I would ask that the minutes be approved as provided. Are there any questions or objections? Seeing none, the minutes will be approved as provided. We'll now take this time to recognize any past board members. Any past board members are here, if you'll please stand. I didn't see any. Are any past general managers here? All righty. Thank you very much.
So next, we'd also like to welcome all of the guests that were able to participate in our annual meeting today as well. These are the vendors and other companies that Garden City Co-op has a relationship with that help us conduct our business. So first, have Cole Holblieb with CHS, Jason Dinkle, also with CHS, Jason Baker, General Manager of Scott Co-op, Kayleen Million and Cassidy Bockelman for Lindbergh Vogel Pierce Ferris, our auditors, Kendall Poland, the General Manager for Sublette Co-op, Morgan Walls, General Manager for Elkhart Co-op, Harry Mines and Bill Brooks, board members for Elkhart Co-op, Michael Walton and Wes Snell are representatives for CoBank. Then we also have Bob Temple and Jeff Huggard with Wind River Grain, Richard Harp and Jordan Dawson with Commerce Bank, Mitch Williams and Scott Anderson with Pro Value, Stan Stark, the CEO for Alliance Ag and Grain. I'll introduce him again later, but Leon Richards and Beverly Richards with their board member for Hooker Equity, Scott Buckley with Land O'Lakes, and finally Chris Irvin with Bayer. Thank you. Next, I will ask Kelly come up to do the audit report.
Good afternoon. Thank you for attending the 103rd annual meeting of the Garden City Co-op. As you walked in, you should have received a small packet containing a raffle ticket, a ballot, the balance sheet, and the statement of operations for the fiscal year ending August 31st, 2022. We will begin our focus on the statement of operations. We conducted our yearly audit for the fiscal year September 1st, 2021 through August 31st of 2022. And what a year this has been. We continue to face ramifications of COVID with supply and demand issues, inflation, labor markets, not to mention drought and cyber threats. And just when we thought the world would return to a new normal, Russia invaded Ukraine and caused huge implications to the world food and energy supply. With the support of our members, our total sales for the year increased by $45 million from the prior year, with cost increasing by $40 million, leaving $4.8 million higher in gross margin. While storage and service income were up from the previous year by about $1 million, total other income was down $1 million from the previous year. The biggest difference was due to the no Paycheck Protection Program funds received in 2022 versus the 1.7 we received in 2021. We also had a decline in patronage dividends this past year from CHS. This past year, CHS retired $1.6 million in equity, and we received $6,000 in cash patronage and $31,000 in non-qualified equity. The equity retirement is up $1.2 million from the prior year. However, cash patronage was down $60,000 and non-qualified equity was down $446,000. While inflation continues to increase, so does the cost of living, which ultimately impacts our personnel cost. While total company turnover is low for a company of our size, competitive labor rates have increased by almost 50% from the prior year. While other companies have faced rising insurance costs of over 30%, our insurance costs only increased 10%. We believe this is one of the many benefits of working with another cooperative, especially an insurance agency that understands our business and the agricultural industry. We enjoyed the benefits of having lower interest for 2020 and 2021, but had a $290,000 increase in interest this past year. It's almost 10% higher than the prior year. Other operating costs increased by $600,000, with the bulk of this increase from rising energy costs in utilities and fuel. In grain, total bushels purchased in 2022 were down 11 million bushels from the prior year. We took 5 million bushels less in wheat, 4 million bushels less in corn, and 1 million bushels less in milo. With less bushels produced and the war in Ukraine hurting the global market, demand heightened and prices skyrocketed, causing our cash flow needs to increase significantly. Some producers held onto their grain a little bit longer this year to ride out some of the uncertainty in the market, in the wheat market, causing a slight increase of storage from the in storage income from the prior year by about $400,000. Grain had a slight increase in personnel expenses due to the competition in the labor markets, as well as an increase in operating interest as they increased their cash needs to handle the large amount of grain contracts and large margin calls as the war in Ukraine heightened. In agronomy. Agronomy faced huge hurdles this past year with the supply market. I thought Trevor Witt best described this past year when he said chemical was the toilet paper of 2022. And just like toilet paper, most of us probably can't remember a time when chemicals like 2,4-D were hard to find, with many other products being on allocation. The shed at our Lowe facility saved us this past year with the ability to hold product, and our relationship with Winfield United, another cooperative, helped us to ensure there was enough supply to take care of everyone. Urea demand significantly increased this past year, with prices falling below the cost of NH3. With dry fertilizer being in such high demand, our dry fertilizer application increased by almost 70,000 acres from the prior year. Agronomy had a steep incline in salaries and wages from the prior year, mostly due to the large amount of overtime hours worked to get the product supplied. Overall, agronomy had one of the most successful years in the history of the Garden City Co-op. Congratulations, agronomy team. In petroleum. Petroleum also faced its fair share of struggles this past year. With supply issues at our Scott City terminal and the increase in freight costs and labor market demands, they continue to focus on keeping the customers running. Our storage availability at our low tanks, as well as the planning and unique contract offerings, have significantly helped this year since the Scott City terminal was either on allocation or had no supply, especially during the harvest months. DEF sales continue to grow significantly each year as the need continues to rise for farm machinery. The Cenex Lube terminal continues to be very beneficial for this division by making us more efficient with our lube inventory and allows us to maximize the efficiency of our oil operations. Total sales were up significantly from the prior year, but with less margin. And an even hit to the bottom line was a very small return in cash patronage from CHS. As you can see on my slide, our CHS cash patronage has changed significantly over the years. With us receiving less cash patronage each year, it has reinforced the need for the Garden City Co-op to focus on what we can control, like local earnings, and not rely on patronage to get us through the years. And that is exactly what all of our divisions have done and continue to do. A huge thanks to all of our divisions and teams for their hard work and diligence this past year. We will now move on to the balance sheet, which is located on the back of your statement of operations. We continue to manage our balance sheet to preserve liquidity, service our debt, and retire equity as we can afford. You can see on my slide we had a slight decrease in working capital, about $440,000 from the prior year. However, working capital has increased almost $6 million since 2019. Maintaining a healthy working capital has been a priority to help with the stress and the impact of the shuttle loader project on our balance sheet. This last year, we invested $6.8 million in capital assets, mostly costs incurred for the shuttle loader project. We also paid down debt of $2.7 million, leaving us with $6.4 million of debt to service through February of 2026. This does not include the projected cost of the shuttle loader and the term debt that we will be taking on to finance it. You heard me mention earlier that CHS paid very little in cash patronage this past year. For this coming year, CHS has reported record earnings and has announced a large portion of these earnings will be paid out in equity retirement, and the Garden City Co-op should be a large benefactor of this retirement, which will be received in March of 2023. At this point in time, to keep our working capital healthy, the board is not planning on an equity retirement. The Garden City Co-op board will revisit this decision if we do in fact receive the CHS equity retirement that we are estimating. In regards to patronage in Section 199, the board of directors has elected to distribute $4.5 million of patronage back to our members. This equates to 16.8 cents per hundredweight on grain, 22.58% on storage, 3.28% on crop production purchases, 4.43% on petroleum ag producer purchases, and 0.28% on commercial petroleum purchases. 40% of this distribution, or $1.8 million of this distribution, will be in cash. The other 60% is a non-qualified notice of allocation. The non-qualified notice of allocation is similar to what we did last year. The benefit of this type of allocation is the member will not pay taxes on this portion until it is redeemed. The board plans to retire this equity just as they do the qualified equity. Further details of this equity will be communicated with your patronage check this spring. Your board of directors has elected to pass through $2 million of the Section 199A G amount back to our members. The breakdown is $1.1 million for grain and $860,000 for crop production. This equals a rate of 9.966 cents per hundredweight per grain and 1.52% for crop production purchases. We are grateful for the year we had, and we look forward to this next year, even though we know it's going to bring its own challenges, as grain inventory volumes are significantly lower than an average year. We continue to face inflation and interest rate increases, all while trying to continue to grow the business and connect our farmers to the world. We appreciate your business, and we hope you all have a safe and bountiful harvest this next year. I would now like to invite Kaylee Million, our auditor from Lindbergh Vogel, to present on our audit opinion.
Hello, my name is Kayleen Million, and I'm a manager on the Garden City Co-op audit. I work for Lindbergh Vogel Pierce Ferris in our Dodge City office. As independent auditors, we have the responsibility to express an opinion on the fair presentation of your financial statements in accordance with accounting principles that are generally accepted in the United States. Our audit standards require that we perform the audit to obtain reasonable but not absolute assurance about whether the financial statements are free from material misstatements. Our opinion is based on audit procedures, including evaluating the appropriateness of accounting policies used, reasonableness of significant estimates made by management, and evaluating overall presentation. Again, this year, we are providing an unmodified, sometimes referred to as a clean opinion on the financial statements. Please keep in mind that the financial statements presented during the meeting are derived from, but not in the same presentation as those that we audited. The audited financials can be obtained by contacting the co-op office. On behalf of Lindbergh Vogel Pierce Ferris, I want to thank you for the opportunity to be your independent auditor. Thank you.
First off, we'll take the opportunity to introduce the board members and their spouses. First, we have Gordon Dries and his wife Kelly. Gordon's our vice chairman. Clayton and his wife Sarah. Clayton's our secretary. Chris Fulmer and his wife Dowie. Chris is our assistant secretary. Then we have Joanna Schmeckley, and she's absent today, but her husband Brian, there he is. Lynn Teeter and his wife Tracy. Max Engler and his wife Catherine. Then our associate directors, Keith Miller, his wife Jana. Dylan Lindenberger, his wife Sarah. Zion Roth and his wife Hannah. My wife Amanda is not going to get away from not standing up, so there's Amanda. What two words are the scariest words in the English language today? While we all may instantly come up with some different answers, I would argue that two of the most prominent are growth and change. Growth requires work, research can cause pain, and be stressful. Some will say that bigger isn't always better. This statement can be true, but I would argue that better is better. Change can be uncomfortable, and as a society, we just don't like it. But both are happening all around us, and it's becoming more of the norm to see both growth and change than it is not to. Let's look at a few of the changes we see in our daily lives. Shopping for goods has definitely changed. Amazon has been a huge disruptor in this market, and all the big box stores are doing whatever they can to try to keep up. While it may not always be the cheapest or the fastest way, it has become the most convenient. Pull up your account on the computer, your phone, or just yell at Alexa, and you can literally have anything shipped right to your front door. Grocery shopping looks different today than even 5 years ago. Order your groceries online through the app and have a personal shopper run through the store and meet you at your car with you not even having to get out. Even eating at restaurants has changed. I would argue this is in large part to our favorite word, COVID, but I don't see this going away. DoorDash, Uber Eats will bring any fast food item to you within an hour when nobody wants to cook or leave the house. The work environment has also seen a huge change due to the pandemic. People are working from home, and our children were learning from the living room. Today, we see full remote work and even some education from home. This has required many companies to become flexible. There has also been a cultural change in the workday. Many schools are changing to a 4-day school week, and some companies are following suit. Realistically, this model does not fit our agricultural world. Cattle need fed 7 days a week, and farming is done in acres, not always in hours. This is a change we are being faced with in dealing with employees. Growth is a challenge as well. While growth is also a change, it presents its own set of difficulties. In the farming sector, we see major growth and expansion of our farmer owners. The average age of a Kansas farmer today is 58. As we look to the future, the number of next generation farmers is far less than that of the generation that will retire. This has led to farm growth, and as farms grow, it either requires more labor to run more equipment or larger equipment and more technology. What we are seeing today is the latter. As these changes happen, the companies that support these farms must adapt and be able to support all farms. At GCC, your co-op is committed to helping each of its members so that what they need and desire is what they get. Your staff knows that each of us needs are not the same. It is the goal of the co-op and the goal of your board at GCC that the co-op is a valuable asset to each of your farms, no matter what that looks like for each and every one of you today and tomorrow. The co-op is not immune from change. Gone are the days of the industry being anything but a global market. It doesn't matter if we can use what we produce nationally for inputs and that the prices that it takes to produce this are cheaper. The global market sets these prices, and it's the manufacturers who are capturing the margins. What can be done to try to help you as farmer owners in these times of change? Your GCC board and staff work diligently to look at the possibilities to get you, the farmer owner, the most value. One of the big ways to do this is through growth. While bigger doesn't always equal better, proper growth that is vetted and extensively researched can and will bring significant value to you, the member owners. We are very excited to be able to stand before you today and have the honor to discuss with you 2 new changes and growth opportunities for your co-op. We have been working for what seems like forever on a new rail facility that is finally underway just west of Holcomb. This will be a state-of-the-art facility. Now, I'm not going to steal Jeff's thunder, but we are equally excited about the opportunity to join forces with Hooker Equity in our merger that is effective later this month. Both will bring value to all co-op members regardless of the location. New market opportunities and the ability to have more volume will be huge assets to you, the member owners. As we stand and look at our fields, our crops, equipment, facilities, and families, we can't help but think how growth and change are consistent. Crops grow and change from season to season. Equipment improves, and our kids grow in the blink of an eye. Changes and growth are coming. So keep your boots on the ground and your eyes toward the horizon. Thank you.
Okay, make sure this mic still works. Hello, everyone, and welcome again to the 2022nd annual meeting of your co-op. I appreciate your attendance in today's meeting. My purpose today is to update you on how GCC is doing and how we see the local and larger cooperative landscape. First, I want to thank our leadership team and my staff for their work this past year. They've had a lot on their plate, and they have been resilient and continue to push your co-op forward and execute on our strategy. I'd ask them to please stand and be recognized. First, you heard earlier from our CFO, Kelly Drees. Michael Wisner is our grain vice president. Trevor Witt is our agronomy vice president. And Jeremy Peebles is our energy vice president. Thank you all again for your effort and service in servicing our members. They lead a strong staff of employees who you interact regularly with on your farms and help create value for you each season. Would all of the employees of the Garden City Co-op please stand up? I appreciate all of you and thank you for helping us be successful this past year. Each of you are important to us at GCC. Finally, I'd also like to thank my wife, Cassie, for everything she takes care of so I can focus on GCC. I have to ask the question, what is normal anymore? When was the last time we had what we consider a normal growing season? It seems like we have patterns of lots of moisture or absolutely no moisture. That variability bleeds over into the ag markets we participate in. High grain prices or low grain prices, high fertilizer prices or limited chemical availability. It seems there is always something we are challenging. In general, we see greater volatility in everything we touch. At what point do we just accept volatility, change, or risk of what they've always been in agriculture, normal? I do recognize that we are in the pain of a drought. I have had some of you farmers who've experienced the bad droughts of the 50s and even the dirty 30s tell me this is the worst you have ever seen it. We must remember, though, we live on the Great Plains and we will experience strong droughts. But they will eventually be replaced by rain and snow. And hopefully you get to use those umbrellas. This current drought has been tough on the co-ops in the area. The lack of grain volume is tough to overcome and is going to stress balance sheets. One of the things, though, that gets us through these tough years is a focus on our ownership model and the benefits of being cooperatively owned. Co-ops have an existence value in the marketplace, and they provide a sense of normal and discipline. There is stability in a co-op if it adheres to the 7 cooperative principles. These principles are what keeps the ownership model relevant. The one principle I want to focus on today is cooperation amongst cooperatives. This principle states that cooperatives serve their members most effectively and strengthen the cooperative movement by working together through local, regional, national, and international structures, what we call the cooperative system. GCC has followed this principle for a long time, and your board and I strive to follow it today. I would now like to share a video created by Trevor Hands that goes deeper into this topic. Cooperation among cooperatives is the 6th cooperative principle. Co-ops need to work together because it strengthens the system on behalf of the farmer. Working together can mean locals working with locals or locals working with nationals. It can be formal to informal by creating business partnerships to just simply sharing appropriate information. National co-ops bring scale that local co-ops are not always able to access on their own. An example is the fuel that is provided by the McPherson refinery that is owned by CHS. GCC was one of the first investors in Union Oil in the late 1920s that started that refinery because our members had a need. Another example is the financial liquidity it takes to run a co-op that is provided by CoBank. If we do not work together as co-ops, we do have other choices, but the value creation for the member is not always aligned. Other stakeholders may be more interested in profit, as an example, instead of service to the membership.
Well, there are many great things about the cooperative business model, but one of them is the fact that we are owned and controlled locally, wherever local may be, by our member owners, right? And we are here to serve their needs, in our case, finance. And what we are trying to do is to run a highly competitive business that provides the financial services that our customers need and want, but to provide it in a way that also gives them an appropriate and a reasonable economic return on the substantial investments they make through equity in our company. And that comes to them predominantly in the form of patronage. And so we run our business to be effective, but also efficient, and to generate good economic returns for the use of the capital that our member owners have entrusted with us. Thankfully, we're very successful at that. And we believe that the economic returns that we provide to our customer owners are highly favorable to them.
Working with other co-ops is important to GCC, and in fact, one of our board policies. GCC works with national co-ops such as CHS, Land O'Lakes, or CoBank. These entities give GCC access to things that it can't facilitate on its own. We then provide value to the national co-ops through our volume and supply chain efficiencies. We also have a history of working with other local co-ops. We are always willing to work with other co-ops if a beneficial partnership can exist for the member. Otis Moles always encouraged co-ops to work together, and we cannot overlook the benefits. Otis was the driver behind the creation of CoBank. CoBank's mission today is to help provide financial services to rural America. They understand the cooperative system and stand behind the network through good and hard times. Their mission aligns with GCC in creating value for our members.
What we see and experience all the time is the fact that the cooperative community working together, either directly through business or through the things that they do in the communities where they reside and where their customers and employees reside, in many cases provides a lot of the important fabric inside of a local community. They may be big employers, they may have charitable operations and things that they do. So we see the cooperation among co-ops in the various industries that we serve everywhere in the country, and it always is a net contributor to the strength, health, and well-being of local community.
Cooperatives are where they use the word we and not I. It's really overlooked by most people because of the simplicity of the idea you can do so much more together than you can by yourself. In this day and age, with the multinational companies that are becoming more of them and larger and stronger, as an individual farmer, you're not going to be able to compete if every farmer tries to compete against that array of businesses unless he himself organizes in some method that gives him some power to negotiate. It's pure and simple.
If a co-op is aligned to the members' needs, a strong cooperative network can exist locally, nationally, and even globally. Thank you again, Trevor Hands, for always helping us tell our story each year at our annual meeting. I would also like to thank Land O'Lakes and especially CoBank for contributing to our video this year. To add to the opinions on this topic, Jay Deberting, CEO for CHS, recently wrote, "Cooperative owners know the value of working together. Collaborating opens doors to new and better markets and helps secure inputs and offers options for managing risk. Working together yields results today and paves the way for growth and a better future." So today, I think we see those results as GCC collaborates with national and regional cooperatives such as CoBank, CHS, Land O'Lakes, ProValue Insurance, Agribusiness Benefit Group, United Benefits Group, Triangle Insurance, and those that advocate for co-ops such as the Kansas Co-op Council and the Arthur Capper Cooperative Center at K-State. These are just examples of organizations that help us provide access to markets and services that GCC could not accomplish on its own. It enables our employee group to have strong benefits working at GCC. It gives us access to a locally produced fuel source for your equipment. It gives us access to market information and supply for your agronomy inputs. And it gives us access to financial liquidity and risk protection. These are a lot of behind-the-scenes relationships that you do not see on your farms. But I can tell you they are invaluable to your cooperative. They're relationships that connect us to a larger system that help us be successful locally. So I have to ask, what's the definition of local anymore? Just as we have a new normal, I would argue local has a much broader feel than it used to. In this geography, we become used to driving further for services and goods. Things our smaller communities used to have are now located only in larger towns. GCC needs growth for economic stability and relevancy in our supply relationships. But our strategy is to remain tied to our local communities as the rate of consolidation amongst our members and the acres they farm increases quickly. Co-ops need to grow to keep up with the growth of farms. Some farms now have similar capabilities as co-ops around us on their own. This is driving cooperative consolidation. A chart of cooperative consolidation was shown in Trevor's video. From the 1950s to recently, the number of co-ops nationally has decreased from around 10,000 farmer co-ops to less than 2,000 today. That consolidation pattern is similar in Kansas. Using data provided by the Arthur Capper Cooperative Center and Kansas Co-op Council, Kansas today only has 62 co-ops, down from 364. Consolidation has many reasons and positive and negative outcomes. Co-op consolidation has led to many co-ops not having a contiguous market area. You can see from the starburst map here how many co-ops now overlap each other in Kansas. The distribution of size among co-ops in Kansas is also very interesting. Of the co-ops in Kansas, 13 of them have 0 or 1 grain location. 19 of them have 2 to 5 grain locations. 15 have 6 to 11 locations. And 15, and this would include Garden City Co-op, have 12 or more locations. Part of that driver, that consolidation, is the labor force. I get it, we are tired of blaming COVID, but COVID did change the labor market. Another interesting statistic for you. Since 2019, there have been 48 CEO or general manager changes at Kansas co-ops. That includes the interim managers. So think of that number. 31, or half of the co-ops, have changed their management in the last 4 years. Some of them multiple times in that time span. Effective leadership of these organizations is becoming tough for local boards to find. For GCC, we put a large focus on employee recruitment, onboarding, development, and retention to address the labor market challenges. For those that don't know, we've recently hired Annie Gerber, and she'll fulfill a talent and partnerships coordinator to help us recruit the best employees and help potential new hires be aware of GCC in our local communities. Employees want a visible career path. They want to know what our opportunities exist for them now. Smaller organizations struggle with this as there are just fewer roles for growth and development available internally. If GCC does not grow, we will face a similar challenge as well. Cooperation amongst cooperatives and consolidation provided GCC with an opportunity this year when GCC was approached by Hooker Equity Exchange in Hooker, Oklahoma. Hooker Equity was seeking merger candidates to support the co-op through a financial hardship. Your board, I, and Hooker's board and general manager met in May to discuss what a merger of the two companies would look like. What followed over the next few months was the board and management conducting due diligence to evaluate assets, facilities, as well as liabilities for Hooker Equity to be merged into Garden City Co-op. Both boards approved a merger plan in September, which included a 25% equity write-down for Hooker's member equity prior to consolidation into GCC. Hooker Equity's membership voted and approved of the merger 52-4 at the end of September. GCC members were not required to vote due to the size of Hooker Equity's member equity versus Garden City Co-ops. We did feel that there were several benefits to GCC members of Hooker Equity's assets. The existing Hooker equity geography has a crop production pattern similar to GCC's existing geography. Similar crops are grown, such as corn, wheat, milo, and soybeans, and there is dryland and irrigated crops as well. The location receives a large volume in grain, and historically, as a single location, receives more grain than any single GCC elevator currently. This additional grain volume increases GCC's grain marketing options and allows for more feed grain marketing into the livestock markets. The facilities are on the Union Pacific Railroad main line, which gives GCC access to 3 rail markets: the K&O short line in our northern area, the BNSF in our central area, and now the UP in the southern area. It also allows for potential truck logistics benefits, with shipping feed grain south and the potential for bringing wheat bushels back north as a backhaul. For the Hooker equity members, it allows for a continued cooperative presence locally. GCC plans to spend upgrades and improvements to the existing facilities to serve the Hooker area farmers more efficiently. It also gives the local farmers access to more services through our grain origination and marketing programs, as well as direct ship agronomy and fuel products. This merger is set to be effective on December 15th. The Hooker board will appoint a board member to GCC's board for a 1-year term effective on the closing date of the merger. At that time, the GCC board will temporarily expand to 8 voting board members. At the annual meeting next year, here, the board will shrink back down to 7 board members, and the Hooker Equity board member will be eligible to run for a GCC seat. We would like to welcome the Hooker Equity members and employees into GCC. I'd also like to recognize the Hooker board members that are in attendance today, which is, again, Leon and Beverly Richards. If you guys could stand. Right there. Yep. I feel that this merger process has been a good example of how co-ops can work together to strengthen the cooperative system. The next update I'd like to give is regarding the GCC train loader, River Valley Terminal, that we discussed last year here at this meeting. We have finally broken ground on this project. The delays that we experienced were due to moving the project location to a more preferable site located next to the Tyson Foods facility. This site allows for a better truck traffic flow than our previous location. The scheduled completion date of the project is expected to be early 2024. This facility will allow GCC to have a modern rail facility that supports a rail and export economy and connects GCC better in the grain supply chain. GCC will work with other grain companies for rail logistics and export grain market access. And one of those companies GCC will work with is the grain division of CHS. It's another example of cooperatives working with co-ops. I do want to reiterate, though, this facility will be wholly owned and operated by Garden City Co-op. There are not many local co-ops in Kansas that wholly own their own train loader. Most are managed either through joint ventures or LLCs. Our local grain market continues to evolve, and while this is a major financial project, this facility should bring a lot of value to GCC members. It allows us to have more options in grain marketing directly to you, the farmers. The growth in the feed markets in the area will also allow for more import opportunities. The grain competition locally also continues to increase, and this facility gives us a tool to be more competitive to earn your bushel. While every project has a financial risk, the rewards of this facility will stay with you, the local owners of GCC, and not be sent elsewhere. We're excited for this project to be completed and feel that it will drive many changes for GCC. We'll also continue to explore other business opportunities that can be located on the rail site that will bring value to you, the GCC members. As Kelly reported to you, through your support, we were able to have a successful year financially. I'm proud that our business model evolvement has allowed us to be locally profitable again this year. This is what is allowing us to return good patronage through cash and equity allocations. We're also able again to provide you with a DPAD tax deduction that through our pass-through capabilities. We do continue to strategically manage our financial position, though, through local earnings and working capital management. The shuttle loader project is a large investment that will tighten our balance sheet in the short term, but we are trying to maintain appropriate working capital to get us through this drought. Due to this, as Kelly mentioned, that is why your board today did not retire any member equity at this time. If this situation changes during the year and we have more cash available, the board will review our equity management options again later this year. Unfortunately, though, we will believe we will have a tough financial year this next year due to the lack of grain volume from the smaller wheat harvest and a very tough fall harvest. We all know how hard this fall harvest was, and that directly affects your co-op and erodes working capital. You can see in this chart the last 3 years' receipts by geography of our elevators for all grains compared to the 5 and 10-year average. 2022's crop was roughly 50% of a 10-year average. Though we will continue to position ourselves for financial success and evolve our business models to be successful while maintaining local control with national connections. We are excited for our future and the opportunities we are striving for, even adverse moisture conditions. Your co-op success only happens with your commitment, and we sincerely thank you for your bushels, your tons, and your gallons this past fiscal year. We commit to earning more of your trust and business in the future. Thank you again for supporting your co-op and your commitment to the larger cooperative system it is connected to. Next, I'd like to invite up Clayton Maddox for a nominating committee report.
Thank you, Jeff. Folks, as Jeff mentioned, my name is Clayton Maddox. On behalf of Joanna Smickley, who was unable to be here with us today, I will read the nominating committee report. The nominating committee met in October to determine qualified candidates for open board of director positions. The committee was chaired by Joanna Smickley. There are 2 positions open this year. The candidates placed into the nomination are Chris Fulmer of Dighton area, Zion Roth of the Holcomb area, Shane Browning of the Ulysses area, and Kyle Deaver of the Plymale area. Chris Fulmer currently serves as director. Zion Roth serves currently as an associate director. At this time, we would like to take a vote. If you guys would help us out and pass the ballots to the aisles for us, please. Make it easy on us. I'd appreciate that. Also at this time, I would like to invite Keith Miller up to give a associate director report. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Keith Miller, and I work on my family's farm in the Deerfield area. First off, I would like to thank the board for the honor of selecting me to be an associate on the board. Being an associate has educated me on all the ways the co-op functions and how decisions are made to better serve its members. The Garden City Co-op has been an important entity in my family's farm for many years. Being in the boardroom, I'm confident in the direction of our board and the work of the staff that the Garden City Co-op will remain an important part of all of our area farms for many years to come. Thank you again for this great experience.
We'll now move into the business portion of the meeting while the votes are being tallied and counted. Seeing no old business, we will move into new business. We as a board are not aware of any new business, but do open it up if there's any new business that needs to be brought before at this meeting. Any new business to be brought before during this meeting? Seeing none, we will move into the employee and retiree recognition portion of today's meeting.
I always enjoy this part of the program where we get to recognize those employees who have reached milestones of tenure with us, with the company. So we will start with the 5-year PIN recipients. So if Jaime Beltran, Jesus Marquez, Oliver Posada could all come front at this time, please. So first, we've got Jaime Beltran, who is our elevator manager at the Ulysses location. Next, Jesus Marquez, our Gano elevator manager. And Oliver Posada, our Pierceville elevator manager. We do have also 3 other employees receiving a 5-year PIN, but they could not be here today. Cuco Barone is our milepost elevator manager, and he's actually out on vacation. Derek Shear works at our low operations for agronomy, and he's doing some employee training today with Pro Value Insurance. And then also Kendra Oliphant, who is in our precision ag department, is also receiving her 5-year. But for those that don't know, she is actually a full-time remote employee and works from Tennessee for us. So congratulations to them as well. Next, our 10-year PIN recipients. So Grant Geyer, Jose Lopez, Joe Ward, Ed Vargas, and Logan Dreiling. And yes, you have to come up, Logan. So first, Grant Geyer. Grant Geyer is our safety director for the Garden City Co-op and make sure we have all of our safety compliance, but also most important, our culture in place. Next, Ed Vargas, who works in our IT department. Logan Dreiling, who I would say is one of the best corn seed salesmen you'll see in Kansas. Joe Ward is our Dighton elevator manager. And then Jose Lopez works at our low elevator, manages it. Congratulations. Next, we have 2 15-year recipients, Caleb Bishop and Lacey Kennedy. So who's going to go first? Lacey Kennedy works as an agronomy purchasing and inventory management. She works out of the main office. And Caleb Bishop is actually a little special to me because he was actually my first hire that I made here at the Garden City Co-op. And he works in the IT department. Next, our 20-year recipients. And if Dolores would please come forward. So Dolores Guthrie has been with us now for 20 years, and I believe you said July is your anniversary month, I think. But Dolores is in our agronomy accounting department, and so all those agronomy accounting invoices and all the splits and everything that we know we have to get right, Dolores helps make sure that we do that. Also receiving a 20-year PIN, but he could not be here today, is Brent McMillan. Many of you know him. He's our fuel operations manager in the petroleum department. Next, I get to give 2 25-year PINs. So if Juan Barone and Kurt Strasser could come forward. So first is Juan Barone. Juan has been with us for 25 years now, and came to us through the Sullivan Inc. purchases. Juan is the area supervisor for the Ulysses area, And so he manages overall for the Rock Island, Hickok, Milepost, Ulysses elevators. And now with the merger for Hooker, will also oversee the Hooker facilities. Next, yep. Next is Kurt Strasser. Kurt is a manager at our Plymouth elevator, been with us for 25 years, and has also managed the Low and the Pierceville facilities. Am I missing any? That's it, right? He's worked at them all, but I'm saying managed. I know you've been the manager, the one that's responsible for Low, Pierceville, and Plymouth. So congratulations. Next, we have 2 retirees this year. So if Ann and Shelley could come forward. So first we have Shelley Mann. Shelley is also special to me is that when I changed some job roles internally at the company, Shelley actually replaced me. So Shelley is retiring after 18 years with the Garden City Co-op, and she managed a lot of the behind-the-scenes things on our fuel purchasing, our hedging, and our risk management processes within the energy department. And then next is Ann Jackson. Ann is who helped me do my paperwork the day I started at the Garden City Co-op. But lately, she's been in the petroleum department and has been handling all the petroleum invoicing and accounting work over there. And congratulations, Ann, on 37 years of service to the Garden City Co-op. Thank you. We were able to earlier this year celebrate a retirement party for Shelley, and we will be able to have another one for Ann here towards the end of this month. So thank you both.
Jeff doesn't get to go too far. He also qualifies for a pin. Jeff gets his 20-year pin this year. He's special to me because he's my first hire at the Garden City Co-op. Jeff has been in every division at the co-op, so we as a board thank him for all his help, and we think he does a great job. Now it's your turn. We open the meeting up for the question and answer session. I think we have some mics to go around. If anybody does have a question, we'll get the mic to you and we'll do our best to answer all your questions. Okay, right here, right down the middle.
What will the Hooker elevator be called? Will it be Garden City Co-op Hooker elevator or what?
Yes, we still will remain the Garden City Co-op name. It will just be similar to any other division, Ulysses elevator, Hickok, Plymouth, Rock Island, it'll just be Hooker.
You mentioned the Hooker elevator was bigger than any of the ones we have now. What is its capacity?
I'll let Jeff answer that officially.
It's around 6 million bushels of storage, but I would tell you on average their receipts are a little over 5 million bushels a year. So to give you some comparison, it'd be similar to like if you took Low, Wolf, Deerfield, and you combined them. That'd be kind of the scale of that facility. For those that haven't been through there, it's kind of, we call it a single location. It's all based in Hooker, but they have a west elevator with a Milo flat on it. They have their main elevator, and then they have a corn flat to the east side of town, and then they've got a set of bunkers east of that as well, all within Hooker. So.
Any other questions? Against the wall.
last year you said this train loader, or you were authorized 30 million. Inflation's hit. Where's it at now?
Hasn't changed.
Yeah, Dennis, one of the things that worked out really well for us, as this project's been drawn out now for almost 4 years, we signed a lot of our contracts like 2 years ago. And so we have had minimal cost increases on any of those. We have had a few change orders, and actually the last one we had actually saved us money because of material prices falling. So the overall cost of the project has not materially changed, which is very fortunate for us. If we were to rebid that today, I know of another co-op that is in the process just like us, and they did rebid it, and you could say it'd be $5 to $10 million more today if we had to redo it. But luckily, we had a lot of contracts already in place to where we won't have those increases.
Do you still have a relationship with Wind River Grain?
We do, and we plan to continue having one. This area is large enough, our staff feels, to support both, and we look forward to working with them as well as with our own. Anyone else? Any other questions? Clayton's not back yet. You guys don't want more dad jokes, so. He is back. There he is. He snuck up on me. More questions. Okay, very good.
How do you finance this new grain facility? Are you using bank co-ops solely for your income, or where do you get the money?
Yep, I'll let Jeff have that one.
Good question, Larry. So, as was mentioned last year, majority of this will be financed through debt through CoBank. We're authorized up to $26.8 million of debt. And that construction loan is in place, and we've made our first draws on it. The rest of it comes from the working capital that Kelly showed you that we've been building up over time. So it'd be financed through our own working capital and profits and through debt, term debt. That term debt is spread out quite a few years out to where we can manage the payments on it. And I'd also say through all of our pro formas that we have ran and using outside consultants to help us do that, the volume through it on year one shows that it will cash flow to be able to make the term debt payments on year one with its earnings.
Thank you. Any more questions before I turn it back over to Clayton? Seeing none, we'll turn the stage to Clayton.
Congratulations to Chris Fulmer and Kyle Deaver, your directors-elect.
We'll now go ahead and redeem the 5 stock redemptions. So if you guys would pull your red tickets out. And if I call your number, please stand and make sure we get your name before you sit down. Please. All right. The first ticket number, 348556. Three, 4, 8, 5, 5, 6. All right, Keith Strasser. All right, second number, 2, 3, 0, 9216. All right. All right. Third ticket, 230-9131. Okay. Next ticket, 230-9127. And for the last ticket, 348586. Three, 4, 8, 5, 8, 6. All right, let's do another one. All right, last ticket. 348 575. All right, thank you.
We thank you all for coming to today's annual meeting, and with that, we are adjourned.